Official, unofficial, official, unofficial, official, unofficial. It's definitely not official. Official, unofficial, official, unofficial, official, unofficial. It's Jess.
Hello and welcome to the official, unofficial New Girl podcast. I'll be your host, Al, and joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Erica. Hi, Erica.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Super awesome, excited to be here today.
I'm also joined by Ben at Please Be Excited, my wonderful co-host. Ben, how's it going?
What's up? How you doing now? I'm good, buddy. I'm ready.
Doing great.
Let's go.
And we have a special guest for you today. The Egyptian enigma himself, Yusuf Magid. How's it going, Yusuf?
Good. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate that intro. It's the first time. I gotta add that to the Rolodex of nicknames now.
There you go.
Nice, I appreciate it. You can use it whenever.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Today we're talking about Backslide, the 23rd episode of the first season, which aired May 1st, 2012, written by David Quant and directed by Nanette Burstein. We have a few guest stars in this episode, some returning, like Mary Elizabeth Ellis as Caroline, and Justin Long as Paul Gangslinger. We also have a couple of new ones, like Melissa Tang as Jen. What did we think of this episode? How about we start with you, Ben?
Yeah, I thought it was a really, really strong episode, especially off the back with some really good ones. I don't know if it could quite live up to it, but we get some footage of Winston looking like the fourth member of the Bee Gees. We get some great stuff around that and some great lines. We've got, just a lot of really good stuff. I think probably the most impressive thing, particularly of this episode, is probably just the that sort of balance that they actually managed to strike between the comedy and some of the more dramatic elements of the episode. So obviously you get a lot of stuff around, Nick trying to move forward with his life with Caroline, and obviously Jess backsliding and kind of learning and showing a lot of growth in the episode. So I feel like it was a bit more cohesive than some of the previous ones, and that, none of the B storylines or anything here felt that they shouldn't be there. They felt really, really good, really strong. And we get some actual human emotion from Schmidt. So I feel like his character was probably a little bit more well developed than what we've seen so far. And that he's not just sort of a caricature in this one, which I really, really liked and appreciated. So all in all, I thought it was a fantastic episode. Yeah.
Oh, Yusuf, what did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. I kind of like when the episodes focus on something that, or the main theme of this obviously being the backslide, that is kind of like a very real thing that happens to a lot of people, and is a situation that you can imagine yourself in, or if you've gone through sort of what Jess and Nick have, you can kind of relate a little bit, and so I thought that was a good focus, a good focal point. And then, having things sort of go off on tangents, and having the Nick, video, or having the Schmidt and Cece, plot was kind of like these nice lighthearted moments. And then, I don't know, I feel like this episode was just like epitomizes like the fact that they didn't know what to do with Winston early on in New Girl. And I just felt so bad for his character.
That's a running theme that we always talk about every episode, about how long it's taking them to get Winston into like being an actual character with some depth.
Yeah, it's like everyone has like a solid plot line. It's like Nick and Jess are dealing with their relationship issues. Schmidt and Cece are getting closer together, and he's dealing with his broken penis. But like they were like, Winston, what do we do with him? Let's give him an earring. That'll be what he has going on this episode.
Erica, what did you think?
I've been waiting for this episode since we first started this. This is one of my favorite episodes of this show.
Is this the one, Erica?
Is this it?
Al, Ben, it might be the one. It might be the one.
To find out. Stay tuned to the end of the episode to find out.
Have to hang out and wait. I love this episode so much. And again, like we always talk about, it's what is up with Winston. And it does make me sad. And at least we do get a little bit more of Winston in this episode, which makes me happy. And I guess that's all I can really ask for in season 1. I cannot wait until we start season 2. Oh my gosh, I can't wait till we start season 2, because we get to talk more about Winston, and I'm so excited. But as far as season 1 goes, this episode, and we'll talk about it when we get through some of the lines and moments in this episode, but there are the moments in this episode that hit me a certain way when I first watched this, when I remember back in, what was it, May of last year, when I first started watching this show for the first time, and Al said, I'm so glad you're finally getting to experience this show. And that is when me and Al instantly became best friends, pretty much.
That's right.
And I remember crying over this episode, and it was amazing. And I love this episode so much. So yeah, so let's get into the rest of it, because I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this one. I had lots of coffee today too. Can you tell?
I'm right here with you. I like that between the broken penis, the Russell stuff, the Caroline stuff, at least we're getting some kind of continuity, because they're not standalone episodes like the majority of season 1 was. I also like there's a little bit of continuity where instead of like watching Dirty Dancing however many times that she did back in was it the pilot? I think it was the pilot, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a recurring theme with just having something on repeat, and this time it just happens to be Joni Mitchell. I like all of that stuff. We'll do a quick recap. I might have to edit this before our opening thoughts because I forgot to do this. For the recap, in this episode, when Jess and Nick run into their exes, Paul and Caroline, the gang fears they both may backslide into romantic relationships. Meanwhile, Schmidt desperately tries not to get aroused as he deals with a delicate medical issue. Winston suffers the consequences of a wild night out with his boss, and Cece brings Schmidt to a nursing home to meet her grandmother. So that's our recap. Should we just get into our segments and
Let's
get
go,
into
buddy.
this?
I'm so
All right,
excited.
Why does he tell everyone that he has a broken penis? Like, why does he feel the need to tell
thing.
everyone?
Everybody.
It's Schmidt. It's Schmidt. Speaking of, we'll start with Schmidt. We'll start with Schmidt's segment, the douchebag jar. Let's start with our special guest, Yusuf. What lines, do you have any specific lines that deserve to be in the douchebag jar, or just funny moments that Schmidt had?
I guess it's not like a classic like douchebag jar thing, but the moment that like got me where I was like, oh, Schmidt, like, come on, you're better than this. It was like when because the whole joke, the running gag throughout the episode is that like when he gets aroused, his penis hurts, and like when he's in pain, it means he's aroused. And when Jess starts describing the Jen as an Asian me, and he just like starts, I was like, come on, Schmidt, like like that's what's doing it for you.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing that came to my head.
Yeah. I was not expecting that to turn up or to. Nah, no pun. I'm not going to even go there. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that to be said during that particular scene. Do you have any more, Yusuf, or is that about your favorite?
No. There was a ton. I should have taken better notes, but the one, because they early on in the episode they sort of have like a series of like cutaways where like they show Schmidt getting turned on, and like there's the one where they're like he and Cece are like bird watching or something like that, and he's like, must I say it? Eggs.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great one. I have that in my notes as well. Erica, what about you? What are your favorite Schmidt lines in this episode?
So, in sticking with the theme of him needing to tell everybody about his broken penis, it's at the beginning when Jess is laying in bed listening to that song over and over again, and he goes, the economy stinks, bees are dying, movies are pretty much all sequels now, and I have a broken penis. Don't pretend to know my pain. And I just love it because she's like, don't say a broken penis.
Don't say
and, and he just needs to remind everybody at every turn he has a broken penis. But I really like
hand out flyers at a certain point, just get them printed, hand them out to
It would be
people,
easier.
like a public service announcement.
Just in case you didn't know, I have a broken penis.
Billboard.
Get t-shirts printed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I also really liked the fact that you were wearing pajamas in the presence of your lover tells me that your relationship was doomed from the start. Just because I thought that was hilarious.
Okay.
I just thought that was funny. That was hilarious. And old people freak me out with their hands and their legs. They're like human versions of pleated pants, because that's just very much a Schmidt. Yeah, that's just a Schmidtism, I guess.
And then he goes on to talk about the fact that they're giant walking raisins.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. And then when they get to the actual home, he's like, these people are like, I forget what he says. These people are something. I couldn't be any more flaccid.
Yep.
Oh, he says these people are disgusting. I've never been more flaccid in my life. Is a line.
And then he also refers to them as, you guys are like real live Yodas, which is fantastic. And
Yep.
I had to throw in the Star Wars reference, obviously.
Yeah. Those, my entire list just got referenced. Ben, do you have any more that we might have missed?
Virtually the same, but there are a couple that I do want to shout out actually. So
Let's go.
I know we're probably going to cover this off maybe in a future segment, so I'm gonna leave this one off because I know Erica might have some plans around a special segment she's got planned. But I do actually want to shout out just a sweet moment because we don't get a lot of this from Schmidt. It's not douchey, but obviously we also like to talk about other character moments in these segments as well. So I've just got, how does a guy like me have a chance making someone like Cece happy? And we've got the sweetest person, Daddy. Is it Daddy, I believe? You don't. Not with all those moles on your face. And then he just says, I should give up her. That's crazy. And it's like, that's crazy. She needs you. You're exactly what she needs. I just thought it was a really sweet moment. That was really nice from Schmidt. So I thought that was good to see that, which, like I say, we don't really see a lot of so far anyway in the series. So I thought that was worth a shout out.
And then he
very
passes out in
refreshing.
the chair because emotional intimacy also arouses him, and that's fantastic. So, yeah.
And the only other line I've got here is, other than one we might talk about later, is the knotted wizard staff in reference to his penis. So
Yeah.
So if we had to pick one for the douche jar, as we always do, Ben, what do you recommend? What do you vote for the jar?
look, I've probably got to go with Erica's initial line at the start of the episode, where he's talking to Jess about his penis. So it's just so unnecessary, but so good. You know?
Yep. Throwing in that, yeah. And now he has a broken penis. I'd go with that one too. I like that one.
Yusuf, what do you think?
I
you
like
think
that.
That's
The pleated pants one sticks out
Yeah.
for me a
That's
lot.
the one
That
I
one's
want.
good
Yes,
too.
100%.
It's a
That's the
tie
one I
between
want.
those two. I really okay. So both lines, like usual, we're just gonna throw two lines in. And,
Right.
And can we throw the eggs one in there as another one? Cause,
That
and shout out to Robin
special
Gell
one.
with the eggs, you know?
Special mention for eggs. Got
Yep.
it. Yep, that's fair.
Okay. Now let's move on to our special Winston segment, Ben.
What's up, Winston?
Okay.
Still don't know how you get your voice that high.
Especially this early in the morning.
That's impressive.
Ben, let's start with you for Winston. What are, if any? I have a couple, but yeah, I don't know. Let's start with you.
Okay, what have we got here? We've got the Genzel Washington. All right, everybody put your Gens and Gensels down.
That's good.
Because obviously we get the return of Gensling here, and I just love that they've still got these great nicknames that they sort of played with earlier in the season as well. We get the fun dialogue between Winston and Jess. I liked the way you played it for the first time at 10 o'clock last night. I liked it a little bit less at 2 a.m. And now I'm kind of hoping that the sun comes up, falls the river, and that woman drowns.
Yes, I have that. It's amazing. It's a great line.
So the other two that I've got, but yeah, Winston was great, but yeah, they probably didn't do enough with him. There's probably my only thing with Winston this episode, but yeah, some great lines there.
Yusuf, do you have any Winston moments that we may have missed?
I mean, so for me, again, like just because I feel like they just don't know how to write Winston, or they don't give him anything super compelling to do. The thing that stuck out for me was all of the comparisons that everyone makes to
Yep.
Winston with how he looks with the earring.
Yes.
That like that really stuck out. And like I think my favorite one was, you look like you're waiting in line for Shaquille O'Neal's birthday party.
So
Like, that
good.
was so good.
Oh God, Erica, do you want to? How about I'll throw in just the bird call that happens. That's my favorite Winston moment. And then can we move on to your special segment,
Sure.
Erica, for Winston?
So mine was, and like Yusuf said, there is really not a lot that Winston does. My only actual line for Winston was the one about the thawing river and women drowning. So I wrote down all of the lines that everyone says about his beautiful earring.
There we go.
So this is when it gets weird between us, is the line he says to his boss when his boss is, giving him the piercing in his ear. So let's just, I have a bunch of these lines written out. Like, when is the Smooth Jazz album coming out? Does that feed information back to Shelby to keep track of your migration pattern? Please, Jess, he just got back from Carnival, which was great. I loved
Yes.
that one.
Yes.
I'm gonna miss you when your caravan moves on to the next village. How did the audition go for the next Disney Pirates movie? And hey, Mr. T called. He wants to punch you because that earring looks stupid. That's some of my favorites that they said to. Oh, and also, you look like you were caught by a fly fisherman. That one was really good too. Yep.
God.
Also,
said
and
that
I
one?
did have the you look like you were waiting in line for Shaquille O'Neal's birthday party because that was hilarious.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That
Yeah.
was great.
I like how
too.
it originally just starts off as a stud and then it turns into like a big hoop
Yep.
and then it turns into like the dangly peacock feather.
Yep.
Like it
It's
just gets more
fantastic.
elaborate.
More
great.
outlandish and crazy. Ben, I know you kept track of these. Are there any that you have that Erica might have missed?
No, pretty much all of them, but man, it's going to be
Nice.
hard to pick a winner.
Yeah, there was a lot of those were my favorites. I know there were some other ones as well, but those were my favorites.
Wasn't
so.
there a Wham reference?
There was a
Or
George
am I-
Michael reference, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay. Yeah.
I think it might have been from
I'll-
Nick.
Yeah, I'll consider that one my favorite. But yeah, I don't.
I'm going to
really
go
remember
migration
it.
patterns, I think.
The migration patterns was hilarious because it's just I was not expecting it at all.
Yeah.
And we all know that Shelby sucks, but that was a pretty good one. I mean, yeah, that was a good one from Jess.
100%. I'm going with that one too. My vote goes to
Mm-hmm.
that for sure. How about we do Nick's tips now?
Next tips.
There it is. Erica, why don't you start us off with your favorite Nick moments of this episode?
So there's only one person I think that sucks worse than Shelby, and that's Caroline. So I actually don't have too much for Nick's tips in this episode because he really
Can we do our
didn't-
special segment, Erica? Here's
well-
where's Shelby or Caroline?
We will do that very soon.
As soon as we
so-
close up Nick's
Yes.
tips.
So, did Caroline physically, mentally, and emotionally abuse me for years? Yes. But also, I think the best one that he had was, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? No, a summer's day is not a bitch." So, that is my favorite. He did have a great at the end while the credits were rolling, from the DVD. Stop giving yourself high fives. What else was there? I'm Nick. I'm grumpy. I'm gonna put my baby hood up, and then sex is a sprint, not a marathon, which
Yes.
was great too. So yeah, those were.
That's
so
the one that got me the most.
It was hilarious because he's laying on the couch like pedaling a pretend bike backwards. It was fantastic. Yeah. So those were some good ones.
I love Be Nicer to Coach, or he's going to take off, live with a bunch of other white people, referencing
Yes.
happy endings.
That was great.
Yes.
Ben, do you have any?
Well, my favorite Nick moments probably came from the past Nick and current present day Nick stuff. So I've got, you want to be a grown man who dresses like an unsponsored professional skateboarder?
He really does.
And it was just perfect because he even had like, that spill on his like, it's not even a hoodie. It's just like, it clearly is. It's something, Tony Hawk would wear before he was sponsored, And I've just got I respect you, man. You're rocking the hell out of that beard, and that long hair looks good, despite what other people think. And then there's just a little bit that just says, hey, what's the difference between me and Bill Cosby? It didn't seem to fit anywhere, but I just still found hilarious. So.
Yeah.
You always talk about how you can really relate to Nick, Ben.
Yeah.
But past Nick is definitely someone I can relate to, sadly.
Yep.
Is it the beard?
Yeah.
It's a bunch of things. It's
Is it the drinking
It's a whole
two
list
beverages
of-
at once?
yeah, maybe. Let's
Crying
not-
into a mason jar?
He's probably
All
paying
right,
into
all
it too,
right,
you know?
Okay, we get it.
Hey, we
Yusuf, do
only
you have
drink
anything?
Glacier Boy tears around here. Okay.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
There you go. There you go.
Yusuf, do you have anything that we might have missed?
Yeah,
from
there
Nick?
was so Nick, I have to say, becomes my favorite character in New Girl. He's not quite there yet. It's really season 2 where he like really starts becoming unhinged in a way that just really is hilarious to me. And it's funny because I think this episode especially like is probably like it's a pretty serious version of Nick. Like you're pretty like you almost like pity him a lot of the time through. But the past Nick stuff like was just really good. Like I think one of the few lines that no one already called out was when he's talking, past him is talking, he's like, now like listen here, Nick, or whatever they're calling you in your time. Like
That was a great one.
like
So good.
as if he's just a whole different person now. And then when present Nick stands up and is just like, it's like, look, can we talk Nick to Nick, and like expects to have like a conversation.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that whole back and forth with past and present Nick. It's fantastic. I also took some notes for Cece. I don't know if any of you guys have. My favorite Cece moment / line in the whole episode is when Schmidt is getting aroused. she goes, "Is emotional intimacy turning you on? Are you in that much pain?"
Yeah.
That made me just.
The whole
laugh out
scene is
loud.
so good, eh? It's so
She's
good.
like, "Is it the Queen of Hearts?"
Yes, that's what got me. She starts flipping over the cards.
It's so
Yeah.
good. I can't wait for Cece to like become part of the main cast like she does later on in the seasons. How about we go into Jess? Our favorite Jess moments. Erica, what are
So-
yours?
This is the line that got me. This is the one that did it. So it's it started with, "Am I self-sabotaging? Am I secretly a Cylon?" Which is hilarious, but what if it's me? What if I have some idea of love in my head and it's just totally wrong? And that line hit me like a bag of bricks. And it still gets me. And just her sitting there with Cece in the closet on that floor. And it gets me every time. And then she also has a line, and I'm bringing it down for a second because, man, she gets a little deep in this episode. But when she's talking to Nick at the end, if you really love someone, it's really simple. And that is just, I don't have any fun Jess lines because most of her fun lines were definitely directed at Winston this episode. But yeah, those are my two big Jess lines, and those are really the ones that make this episode really stand out for me. Just because I know we talk a lot about how relatable this show is. These were the ones that got me because they just, these two lines hit me in a way that I don't think any other lines really have, in like the deep kind of very connective way. So, yep.
Any lines hit you especially differently, Yusuf?
I agree with Erica. I think that closet scene is definitely the hardest hitting one. And then yeah, like her sort of having that epiphany of like, oh, it should be easy. Like going from, oh, do I just have a messed up conception of what love should be and what I want, and then realizing, coming full circle at the end, be like, no, it wasn't easy with Russell, and it should be. And like that's what Kinslinger and this Jen have, which theoretically, I guess, you don't really ever see anything about their relationship. But yeah, those were sort of, I think, the most resonant parts. But then the whole thing of like her making him propose to him, and I guess there's no segment for him, but the ugly crying stuff.
Ugly crying.
Like,
He's the ugliest crier.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a line about his ugly crying in my Jess list. It's when she says it's like he has a slow motion sneeze.
Yeah.
And that got me, to be honest. It's fantastic. Ben, what are your favorite Jess moments?
Yeah, I got to shout out that scene too that Yusuf just mentioned, where she's like physically like holding the ring and kind of just shaking it, and just like that proposal part. It's so good.
Will you marry him?
I think the only actual line, other than one of the funny lines, is the whole "I'm going to end up alone. I'm going to be a single old lady flashing people on the subway." And then later on, "And now I know how Monica Lewinsky feels," is what we also get from Jess.
Yes.
Because we know how much she is a bit of a political pundit. She based on
That's a
some of the
good one.
prior episodes. So, but I did want to shout out a couple of. I probably won't necessarily read them out, but there's some great speeches, obviously, to both Jen and Nick. Some really sweet moments, and kind of like Yusuf mentioned, that she's just so proud of herself when she does come to that realization, and that was a really nice moment for Jess, I thought. So, yeah, I just want to shout out to some of those lines and scenes with Jess, because very, very strong episode.
Nice. There's one more that I really have to shout out. I can't not mention this one. When Cece walks into the bar with a beanie on and a sweater, I think.
Yeah.
Jess says, "Why is she dressed like a women's studies major?"
Yeah.
And that just floored me, to be honest. I love that line. Erica, let's do that other special segment.
Oh yeah,
That-
who's worse, Shelby or
Who's
Caroline?
worse? Yes.
I mean, are we going
we
just
do
off this
this?
episode? Because Shelby's not even in it.
Shelby is not in it. It's because how bad she is. She's terrible. So we talk about how much we don't like Shelby a lot in this show.
Not
but
the actress. The actress is great.
Yeah, the actress, she's fantastic.
And Caroline's actress too. Let's make that clear.
Yes, we love the actresses, to be fair. But Caroline is terrible in this episode. And I would like to point out that they're all having fun at the bar. And then she walks in and she's like, oh, you guys playing a game? And they're like, no. No, just sitting here. Yeah, I love it. It's fantastic. Ben, what about you?
I'm so torn, Erica. This is the hardest segment so far. Look, I've got to go Caroline, probably more so for the stringing Nick along multiple times. Yeah, I'm gonna go Caroline. Caroline sucks. They both suck.
Caroline
But, yeah.
She also has a great ability to just make, Jess want to finally leave her room because of the dance that her and Nick came up with. So there is that.
I think it's because I like Nick less when he's with her. Just
That's
the way
fair.
Yeah.
That's a
Caroline,
good point.
Nick, the version of Nick there is just, yeah. Whereas Winston is still slightly tolerable when he's with Shelby, except for that last, was it tomatoes?
Tomatoes.
That was something, but
My
yeah.
beautiful Shelby. That was cute, but she still sucks. But that's okay.
That's such a great call, Ben. I never looked at it that way. But yeah, I don't like Nick around Caroline.
Yeah.
That's probably why I would pick Caroline. Yusuf, what about you?
Yeah, same here. Like I just said, like Nick is my favorite character, and like I didn't like him in this episode. Like I just like I mean, again, like the history of like literally every type of abuse that she has caused him. Like I don't know. To me, it's Shelby's terrible, but Caroline is the easy choice for me.
Yeah.
Physical abuse, apparently, too. Like, it's physical,
Right?
emotional, and mental is the list that he listed off. That's a lot.
Terrible.
It's a lot to cover.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
now
she
it's-
lied about her age, which was a weird.
Oh,
like,
she absolutely.
did.
You don't do that. You don't do that.
Awful.
Now it's time for someone who wouldn't lie about their age, an all-American hero, our MVP for the episode. Ben, I want to start with you. Who is your MVP this episode?
Oh, look, I know we sometimes have disagreements in this section, but
Sometimes.
we've got to agree on this one, surely. It's Jess, right? It's Jess through and through. Just such
Let's-
a strong...
Go on, and then we'll
Okay.
see.
No, some really, really strong moments from Jess, some great moments and dialogue from her, but kind of what like I pointed out before, like she's definitely the MVP, obviously helping Genslinger and Jen, having that speech with Nick, obviously it was pretty gut-wrenching for her a little bit at the end, but no, I thought she had a really, really strong episode through and through, and no, that's, yeah, I don't know if I can say more based on what I said earlier, but no, I thought she was really, really good, yeah.
Yusuf?
Unless I have to debate it, Al, okay? In which case I will.
We'll get there. We'll get to that. Yusuf,
I think Jess is a
MVP?
strong choice. I think she's the obvious choice. I want to throw out a dark horse, and that's Cece's grandma.
Oh,
Ooh,
yes.
I like that.
Nice.
Because I
like
think
that.
like I mean obviously like Schmidt, especially early on, is like such a stereotypical douche in so many ways, and like we really see him here like start to like really become deeper and confess like real honest feelings for Cece, and like I mean he struggles the entire show run of whether or not he's good enough for her, and you see that here, and her just sort of being like, no, Cece needs you, like that I thought actually really hit home to me, just because like I don't know, at least for me, I have such reverence for like my grandparents and just older generations and family members, and so like seeing that like Cece's grandmother likes Schmidt, which like you could very easily imagine a scenario in which she hates his guts. Like I was like, oh no, she's like giving him the confidence he needs, and she believes in him, and she sees the value he brings to Cece's life.
That's a great point. Actually, can I add something to that point? She gets Cece to realize that as well.
Yeah,
Because when Cece hears her, so she's done both of them some kind of benefit, I think, not just Schmidt. But yeah, that's a great point. Erica, who are you gonna go with?
So I actually really like the Cece's grandma bit and it's actually funny that you say that. I was on a podcast yesterday. I don't know if you've heard of Simply Sassy and Out of Our League, but
Ooh, who are those?
I don't know who they are. But I actually told us the one question that we were asked was, who do we look up to? And I said my grandmother. And that was my answer was, like obviously all the other fantastic ladies I was on the podcast with. But yeah, my grandma was a huge inspiration in my life. And like I actually like tattoo here for her. I have this tattoo, half is for her too. Like a bunch of stuff, and just how much of an impact she had on my life. And I really like that answer. That's a really good one, because obviously my answer was Jess for a lot of the same reasons that Ben said. That speech at the end where she, told Nick that, it should be easy, it should be simple, and everything else. And then actually, I think Cece's grandma, in the same vein, she does need you, making them both realize. And I think they both have a kind of good parallel in this episode for trying to make people see that, the right things at least. So yeah, I like that answer though. Cece's grandma. That's a good one.
Ben, just when you thought we'd agree on something, Yusuf swoops in.
You know what? I can
changes
get
my
down with
mind about
Dirty.
something.
Like that's a great choice.
I think that he changed my mind. Yeah.
All I'm saying is Jess
100%.
probably has a lot more MVPs ahead of her.
Yeah.
How
That's
many more
fair.
does Cece's grandma have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cece's grandma.
Very
That's
convincing.
good.
My vote goes to Cece's grandma, 100%.
Heck yeah.
Love it.
Excellent. Okay, let's now.
That was easier than
do-
usual.
Oh, it was easier than
Very
usual.
easy. Thanks to
Yeah.
Yusuf. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Now let's move on to Who's That Guests, our special
right.
segment where we
Yeah.
rank all the
I'll
guests.
put it up here. There we go. There's our guests. Look at
Take
them
it
all.
away, Erica.
Who do we? Okay, so I know that we discussed. So
We're
we
moving
have,
Gangslinger down
we're
100%.
moving Genslinger down. So
Yusuf, what do you think of our beautiful
this
list?
is our
Oh,
list
so this is every guest
from
so far.
season 1. So
From
we have
season, okay.
Russell. We have who's GK? We had to start using initials.
Glasses Kid.
Glasses
Glasses
Kid. That's
Kid.
right.
Alvin.
Julia, Genslinger, Remy, and Dirk tied for number 5. My gosh.
Nobody knows who these people are, but yeah, okay.
Sadie, the crazy principal lady, Cliff, the little intern, Coin Slot Kid, Green Arrow's tongue, Uli, Caroline, and Oliver. Because nobody remembers Oliver. So what?
Or,
we
yeah.
have to move Genslinger because I don't think he deserves number 4 anymore.
Oh,
Not just for
so-
cheating, but also the ugly crying, you know?
100%.
All right. So how far down are we gonna move? Are we gonna move him under Coin Slot Kid, but still above Green Arrow's tongue? Or does he still?
Yeah,
get to be a
I'm
little
happy
higher?
with that placement.
What do you think, Al?
Yeah,
No. What do you guys think? I don't know.
I agree with the same placement, actually.
Yeah.
I think that's a good.
Coin
How
Slot
many
Kid's
slots
still
down
better.
is that?
Okay, that would put him at number 10 instead of number 4.
That feels like a deserved drop.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like,
He's still
it's
better
nothing
than
to be
Green
scoffed
Arrow's
at what he
tongue.
did, so.
Yeah. Still better than Green Arrow's tongue, to be fair.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, absolutely. Now, do we want to read them off as they are now? Is there?
I just gotta cut this and paste
Yeah.
it down here a second.
Take your
'cause-
time.
Yeah, because I'm running out of.
You got this here again.
I can do.
We're
can do
running out of
numbers.
characters.
I'm running out of characters. Yeah. That's why I had to start doing
No pun
initials.
intended.
You've got too many characters, though.
It's a good thing that the season finale is next week, huh? Yep, number. I just gotta change that to 12. There. I can't wait till next season when we are only doing top 5 and top 5.
Right. That's a great suggestion from Ben.
It was a
We're doing
great
top
suggestion.
5 greatest guest characters and top 5 worst guest
There you go.
characters.
I like
It's
that.
gonna be
that's-
so much
yeah.
better. Or yeah,
So we
that's-
don't have to worry about all this stuff in between.
yeah.
It's funny how you were saying like you can't wait for Cece to like really become part of the crew, and like I think that there's a funny way to look at New Girl like as because like everyone the main cast Winston, Schmidt, Nick, Jess are all insane like obviously, but like the show kind of like becomes like you can look there's a way you could look at it as this is Cece's descent into
yeah.
insanity also. Because she starts off like very like normal and she's the normal friend and like the cool one and they're all weird to her. But then you get into like season 5 and like Nick, and Winston are building a treehouse together, and it's like all they have is a 2x4, but like she's in it, like, and like I was like, wow, like Cece just really went off the deep end. You know, she got there, like
She did. Can't wait till we get
Are
there.
you saying she's the new girl?
Ooh.
I'm saying, I think there's an argument to be made that she has more character development than Jess.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I do
It's
too.
very fascinating.
That seems like a conversation to have though for season 7.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Couple years.
All right, what's our list looking like now?
So we've got Russell at number 1 still, which I feel like it's going to end up changing too. Then we've got A Glasses Kid, number 2. Julia, number 3. Remy and Dirk at number 4. Sadie at number 5. Crazy Principal Lady. Cliff the Little Intern. Coin Slot Kid. Genslinger. Green Arrow's Tongue. Uli. Caroline. And Oliver. Nobody remembers who
Love
Oliver
it.
is anyways.
Love
I can't wait
it.
for our season 1 recap where we readjust some things on this
I
list.
have so much prep work to do for next week.
The very much needed readjustments to that list.
Yeah.
Our new segment. Now we have a new segment for this particular episode.
Oh, yeah.
Who's that Mountie? We have some new. We have some suggestions, some names from the community. Ben, are you taking this?
Yeah, I can take
think
this,
Ben
buddy.
should.
So I don't know how much
Let's
UCF
go.
can say because this could potentially be a game that's being developed by Ubisoft at the moment. We don't know. Look, if you did, you obviously hopefully have. If you're watching this, you've probably seen the episode. And in the episode, for a brief moment, we see a glimpse of a game that Winston and Schmidt are playing. Now, the picture, which we'll throw up on the OU Pod Twitter, so you can see it. But just the picture of a Mountie on horseback with just looks like a maple leaf in the top right hand corner. And it's clearly taking place in Saskatchewan there. We've got some graphics on here saying walk, trot, or canter. So it's that's just to give you a bit of an idea of what the screenshot looks like. So we reached out to you, beautiful people in the community, just to come up with some great ideas for what this game might be called. I did actually do some research. I can't find out where this came from. And obviously we know with a lot of these things, they just come up with like, you know, stock footage and things like that, just random things specific for the episode. So I'm sure it doesn't exist, but if it does, please let us know because I'd love to play this game for Please Be Excited Players. That'd be great.
That would be amazing.
I'm looking at the picture now. I have a question. What are the maple leaves? What do they represent? It says they're at 0. Sadly,
It is
That's your
sad.
Canadianness, okay, in the game. You want to get your maple leaves up. Okay?
How Canadian are you?
Not
Clearly
very,
this person's-
apparently.
Exactly.
You need to say thank you more. Not now.
So, reaching out to the community now, what have we got here? We have some great ones here from Vits Patel, who says, I don't know what the game is called, but the DLC is sponsored by Canadian energy drink Mountie Dew, which, great
Nice.
comment there, Vits. Shout out to you, buddy. I had one, it was just Mountie Mayhem is what I think it could be called. I thought that could be good.
that's a
We've
good
got
name.
from Mr. Mac 92, White North Forgiveness.
Oh God.
Which is great. I had where are we? Red Leaf Redemption. I thought was pretty good.
That's
Ooh.
a great one.
Kesselwinks has got here Dudley Doomright, Maple Red Redemption, and this might be my favorite. Call of Quebec instead of is it Call of where is or whatever it is? I can't remember. So they're fantastic too. But what has anyone got any ideas for any? Yes, Erica, go.
I do. Scouting Saskatchewan, a Mountie Tale.
Nice. I love that. That's a great one.
That might be my favorite actually, Erica. That's
That's
great.
Yusuf, do you have any?
Well, I gotta say, and I mean the people on social media already hit this, but like the walk, trot, canter thing just reminded me so much of Red Dead Redemption. I was like, oh, it's just the Canadian version. Like, of course you would be a mountain. You wouldn't be a cowboy. They didn't have cowboys. Like,
This is after they censor it. You know, once they censor it and throw it out in Canada, this is what it looks like. You know.
oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay.
I love it. It's
Now it's time for a special segment. Hey girl, what you doing? Yusuf, how you doing? What you doing?
I'm good. Is that it?
Yeah.
Is it? You want me to tell you how I'm doing?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
No, I'm
So
good.
what have you been up to? What you been doing?
Been working a lot recently. I'm actually taking a 4-day weekend this weekend, which is nice. So,
Ooh.
hey, there you go,
Oh, you're
Erica.
spending it with us. That's so nice.
Oh yeah, no, this is fun. I am catching up on my television watching. I'm currently obsessed with Star Wars Rebels. Yeah, I'm going through it right now. I'm just coming up on the end of season 2. Ooh, the dark saber. Ooh, oh, very cool. That's so awesome.
We've
So
been
yeah,
looking for someone to do a Rebels show with us because I can't join these wonderful people because I'm not a big Star Wars fan.
I won't watch Star Wars for us.
He doesn't love us.
He doesn't.
Yeah, but no, I'm loving that right now.
Nice.
Yeah, and actually, shout out. I've been plugging this show everywhere I can. But if anyone has not watched Taskmaster,
Ooh.
Yes.
it is probably the funniest show I've ever watched in my entire life. And I think honestly, New Girl is the funniest scripted show I've ever watched, and I think Taskmaster is just like the funniest show. Period. If you don't know, it's a I believe BBC run show. The first 10 seasons of which are entirely on YouTube. And the whole premise is that there are 2 comedians who are hosting, Alex Horn and Greg Davies. Yeah. There you go. And every season, they have 5 comedians on to just perform random tasks. And the way the show is structured, each episode is about 45 minutes, where they are in studio, the 7 of them together in front of a live studio audience, and they have performed these tasks in the past. And they get set up to perform these tasks, and then they get judged and get assigned points based off how well they did. And the tasks themselves are the most wild, crazy, inventive, random things ever that like you would never expect. Like sometimes they're like, destroy this cake. Most creative way wins, or gets the most points. You have 10 minutes. Your time starts now. And there's always usually like a time constraint to it, or they'll give them a $20 bill and they'll say, buy the Taskmaster a gift. Best gift wins. You have 6 months. And it's like, okay, like it doesn't say you have to use the $20. You could spend as much as you want technically. And so there's always very creative loopholes, and they just frame it in such a fun way. And it's just 7 comedians just being funny and doing ridiculous things. It's such a good time.
That's awesome.
It really is. I love that show. And special shout out to Kumail H and Robin GL from Simply Sassy who turned me on to that show. So
Nice.
it's a
I was going to say,
great,
Kumail sent me a
fantastic-
picture recently, and it's a bunch of New Zealand comedians, and he's like, do you know these people? I'm like, how do you know who these people are? And like, yes, I've actually met half of them. But it turns out he'd gone through the entire Taskmaster BBC stuff, and then another country, and then he went to the New Zealand Taskmaster, which is on like a local on-demand show. I'm like,
Wow.
like, that's commitment to you, buddy. So
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got to check it
I know
out.
those
Yeah, absolutely.
people.
You absolutely should. Thanks for that, Yusuf. It's a great show. I 100% agree with you. How about we check in with Jake Watch now to see what's going on? This is where we check if Jake Johnson, Yusuf, has gotten back to us about being on the show or not.
Ooh.
So, Ben, do you have any updates?
No DMs from Jake Johnson this week. Some guy called Dwayne Johnson, though, keeps messaging me as well. So
It's about
maybe-
Zoa.
No, we don't.
Yeah, could be. So I don't know if we want to have him on the show, but
Maybe.
I'll get back to him. We'll see. But Jake, if you're listening, please come on the show. You're great. We
Please
love
let
you.
Jake
Please.
know.
Yeah.
Hashtag let Jake know.
Yeah.
It's actually it's funny. I've actually spoken to Jake Johnson. I've actually interviewed him.
That's so cool.
What?
So this is, I mean, it's fine to say now, but so obviously I work for Ubisoft. We have a film and television studio department that makes a TV show called MythiQuest that's on Apple
I've
TV
seen it.
Plus.
Apple
You can
TV
watch.
Plus.
Yeah, and so I mean, I won't go into spoilers, but there's a one-off episode within MythiQuest. It's episode 5, right in the middle, that Jake Johnson stars in.
Oh, wow.
And in my opinion, I love that episode. I think it's my absolute favorite. There was once upon a time I was planning on doing an interview feature with him and Christina Milioti, who's the co-star of that episode, who you might know as the mother in How I Met Your Mother.
Mm-hmm.
And they starred it together, and so I actually got to do a phone interview with both of them. That ended up, for various reasons, never seeing the light of day. But it was just super cool to get to talk to them, and like I had to try so hard not to fanboy out, especially because like Jake's involved in like so many of my favorite things ever. New Girl, Into the Spider-Verse, like I think he's one of the
Let's Be
funniest human
Cops.
beings. Yeah, Let's Be Cops. I was literally just talking about that. But then also Tag. Tag is
Yes.
such a funny movie. It has no business being as good as it is. Yeah.
That's
That's
amazing.
fantastic. That's awesome. Let's move on to our ratings and our final thoughts for the episode. Let's start with Erica.
Me.
How many Schmitties is this one getting?
You
Because I
know.
know.
You know. We've been waiting for this moment
Yep.
since y'all gave your 10 out of 10 episode. This is my 10 out of 10 episode. I love this episode so much, and I only given one per season. This is my 10 out of 10 Schmitty episode. And
Wow.
it finally happened. It finally happened, guys. I've been teasing for weeks. Yeah, this is it. I love this episode so much, and it doesn't get better in season 1 for me than this one. It's just too much. It's the whole episode. It's the AB storylines working together perfectly. It's the perfect amount of comedy and seriousness in this episode, I think, and it's so much of it is so relatable for me, I think, that it just works on all levels. And yeah, I can't say I could. If I start talking too much about this episode, we'll be here for the next 3 hours. I won't shut up about it. So I'm just going to pass it on over to whoever is next because I love it so much. 10 out of 10. Yep. This is my favorite.
Yusuf, let's go with you. What are your ratings and final thoughts for this episode?
It's definitely a really high rating. And I agree with all Erica's points. But I think for that reason, I might rate it a little bit lower just because, like, for me, New Girl is like I couldn't watch this episode at any time, you know, like I kind of have to be prepared for this episode or like just emotionally ready or just like in the right mind space where like if you're marathoning them and you know it's surrounded by a lot of lighthearted stuff, but like this episode does get a little bit more real. So I'd give it, I don't know what your scale is like, so I don't want to like be too harsh or anything like that, but like I give it a solid 8.
8 Schmitties.
Yeah,
Yes.
Schmitties.
Okay, Ben, what about you?
Look, the more we talk about this episode, the more I actually kind of like it. For me, a lot of shows out there do struggle to find that balance between, like we talked about at the start, the sort of comedy and dramatic parts. And I feel like the later episodes of the season, and this one in particular, really just nailed it for me personally. So, like to say, the serious moments do actually feel relatively genuine and genuinely heartwarming at times. I thought that was really good, especially in this one. We get some growth from a lot of these characters in this particular episode, and it kind of gets some more direction as opposed to, I think that might have been missing a little bit in some of the earlier episodes. So, no, I really, really enjoyed it. Hilarious, obviously, moments with Schmidt and Winston, but yeah, the balance for me was really, really good. So I was going to go 8.5. I'm going to go 9 Schmitties out of 10. Yeah, I'm going to go in the middle.
Nice. I'm gonna go. I was sitting at 9. Then Erica moved me up to a 9.5. The only reason this is not a quintessential New Girl podcast episode is because of the lack of Winston. Other than that, I would 100% give this a 10, because the Winston stuff was just I hate to say this and I hate to use this word, unacceptable. It's just like, come on, like you were saying, Yusuf, it was really bad. It was not
Soon, Al.
soon. I know.
We're
right?
almost there.
And a couple of notes why this gets such a high rating for me is because of that exchange between when Gangslinger says, now I know what Bill Clinton feels like. And then immediately, without missing a beat, Jess goes, now I know how Monica Lewinsky feels. And that's just goes to show you the perfect, like, male Jess that is Gangslinger. Speaking of that one particular moment where we get male Jess and Asian Jess crying together. That, again, is just wonderful. That is amazing. When Gangslinger and Jen, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to point out the one time that it wasn't, because we didn't bring it up, that whenever he is crying and Jen walks in and she's like, oh, what's wrong? And then they just go, I'm sorry, that's how the Electoral College works. And she picks up fast. And he's like, but it's just so unfair. Some votes don't count. And she's like, I'm sorry, that's just how it is. And she just walks out. And it's hilarious because she's just so fast on her feet there. And I mean, obviously it's all scripted and everything, but it's just is perfect. It's so hilarious. And I love that moment. I wanted to give it a
even the way she scampers out too, it's just
Yeah.
so like, it's so funny to me.
It is.
It's such a good moment.
It
And then
is.
also
It's
shout out to the line, I think it's in the later scene where she says, you know, she's like, I thought like you were the Asian me, but I realized I'm the Caucasian you.
Yes.
Just the confusion on
And
everyone's
they're all
face.
like, what?
It's like,
And it's like,
we've never talked about this. So it's
see that? But yeah.
not an acceptable thing to say to a person.
Yeah. it's
Perfect
not- yeah.
Jess quirkiness, right? Like I love that. It's so good.
It's great.
That about wraps things up for us. Before we talk to our special guest about where people can find him, Erica, what's going on with our Patreon and where can people find
Hey.
you?
People can find our Patreon at theoupod.com where all our links are, and it's patreon.com/the official podcast. And we have a couple of different tiers where you can get shout outs and stuff like that. Yay, shout outs! Or you can just get early access to our podcast and stuff like that. And we have a Discord and all those fun things. But hey, if you don't want to go there, that's fine. We have YouTube and all that other stuff where you can just hit the like button and, you know, leave us some nice comments and stuff because we like that too. Actually, a ton.
Where
So
else
it's
can
great.
people leave comments and reviews, Ben?
theoupod.com, like Eric said, you can go to the YouTube there, put the comments in there. You can review us on iTunes. What I would say is recently we have had a look at the numbers, and wow, there are a lot of people on podcast services listening. So thank you so much for all the support there. If you are one of those amazing podcast listeners, what would make a huge difference is just subscribing to the YouTube channel, so you can get those notifications. But that definitely does help as well on our road to getting those. That
Even if you
goal
don't
figure.
watch us on YouTube, just a nice subscription would do.
Exactly,
Would do a
exactly.
lot. Yeah.
We want to hit that goal by Erica's birthday, so we love you all. Thank you all so much for the support.
Thank
so
you
that's
all.
that's what you can do for us. That really helps. Yeah.
And now, last but not least, our special guest. Thank you so much for being on, Yusuf.
Thank you.
No, this was
Where
a blast.
can-
Thank you so much.
Thank you, honestly.
No, this is I honestly I love New Girl. I love getting to talk about it, and I think this. Ben, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the DM from you came after I tweeted New Girl's the funniest show. Like,
I think
I'd
we
seen
were
you tweet about it
talking-
before. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then you're like, this is the funny. I'm like, we've got to have Yusuf on. It's
Yeah.
like, he's such
Me and
a.
Ben were chatting
I mean,
that night.
no, I mean,
remember
it's
Ben coming into the chat and just quote tweeting you or tweet or
Yeah.
like copying pasting it, and it's like, oh my god, we need to get Yusuf on here. I'm like, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, the genesis of that tweet was just watching a random episode with Belinda, my girlfriend, and I'm pointing. She's over there.
Hi, Belinda.
She has headphones on. She's playing Animal Crossing. But we were watching a season 5 episode when Megan Fox's character was on, Reagan, and
So good.
like honestly, I want to be back for this episode specifically. But there's just a line, and I won't say it now. I'll save it for later. But there was a line I just started dying laughing. Like I was uncontrollably laughing for far too long. We had to pause the show, and like I think it's one of the first times she's seen me really lose it like that. And I was just like, this is the greatest show on television. I'm sorry. Why did they cancel this show?
That's awesome.
It's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on and slumming it with us. Thank you.
Oh no, I had a great time. This was a ton of fun.
Thank you so much. This is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing and everything, and thanks again to our special guest Yusuf McGee. Until next time, keep it unofficial.